Hey guys, so I'm going to talk about movie that I saw on TV. Of course, that's why I'm talking about it. And it kind of, it shows the power of the media and all that. And it's interesting because that's kind of what the movie's kind of about. Now, what am I talking about? It's Josie and the Pussycats. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it was originally a spin-off of Archie show. There was an Archie show back in the 70s or late 60s, and they produced a spin-off after getting a big hit musically with a song, I think it was Sugar Sugar. And what ended up happening is they decided, we should see if we can get some more music hits. That's good. We should do that. So what did they do? They made band shows. They made shows where music would be played. And this is, Josie and the Pussycats is the example of it. And they kind of combined different components of other shows also. You can see there's a number of shows very similar to Josie and the Pussycats. Scooby-Doo, is kind of the template, if you will. And, you have 4 or 5 characters and one kind of creature animal as kind of comic relief. There's all kinds. There's one where it's like a buggy. There's one where there's a shark. There's one, I think, where there's a genie. And then you got Scooby-Doo and, Josie and the Pussycats. And there's a couple others that just didn't catch on. And it became kind of a template for American cartoons. And anyway, basically, it only ran for like 2 to 3 years, like producing wise, but it ended up airing on television for a while, just like older cartoons used to. However, eventually stopped airing, and I really only remember it because in our homeroom back in like 3rd grade, our teacher, if she ran out of things to teach, would break out old VCR tapes and she'd put them in, and she was like a crazy fan for Josie and the Pussycats, so we did watch Josie and the Pussycats. And it was kind of annoying, but at the same time you weren't working, so it was great. Anyway, they ended up making a movie off of that. And it happens in 2001 is when the movie is made, produced, everything happens. And what's interesting about the movie is that it deals with the music industry that existed back then that no longer really exists. And they reference a bunch of musical things. Like they reference American Pie, I think Teen Spirit, and a couple other kind of cutely. And it's a very interesting look to see how the music industry's changed. Because back then, it seemed like, it was going to continue to be large even with the internet. And now it's kind of like, yeah, you've got Lady Gaga, you got a couple major stars, but like if you compare sales of CDs and stuff, no one buys CDs. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of a changed industry. It's gone, if you will, what it was. But it's interesting to see how much power they put into the hands of these producers now that, it doesn't really exist anymore. The big plot thing, I'm going to use a spoiler alert here, is the SM machine, SM3000, whatever it was. And it's basically a subliminal message machine. And this is the big plot thing. This is the big catch of the storyline, where they're sending subliminal messages in their music. They're putting it in there to get people to buy Orange. And they show people buying Orange, and it's kind of cute. And it's a way of controlling the masses and everything. But what ends up happening, of course, is bands find out about this, and they have to cover it up. Well, what do? Well, they have plane crashes, they have overdoses. If you ever wondered why so many artists die young or die in crazy ways, that's why. That's how they explain it, And it's kind of it's a cute explanation for something that seems fairly depressing, if you will. And it's a good cover up. And they say, that's why we invented just, behind the music and everything. It's kind of a funny way of dealing with it. And the cool thing, though, the best thing about the movie, in my opinion, is that there's one point where this guy, like, this military general says, we were going to shut down your musical project anyway because, we found movies work a lot better. And like throughout the movie, they have Target signs, they have Pepsi, they have McDonald's, they have every major, you know, commercial company's like logo everywhere. And it gets ridiculous. And it's like, oh yeah, hey, and it's kind of a cute way of dealing with it. And I just love that part of the movie. The acting's not bad, but it's not anything to, you know, talk about. It's fairly B-rated. It's a little bit over B. You know, if we're using B as like crappy, you know, mediocre kind of, you know, dialogue and acting ability in general, it's probably about a B. It's kind of a little bit above Spice Girls, if you know what I'm talking about. That movie kind of came out, I think, earlier than that. Yeah, the writing's not bad. I will say the love interest aspect of it got kind of tiresome. It kind of just got kind of repetitive. But at the same time, I remember when I first saw the movie back in like 2001, I thought it was incredibly cute. I was a hopeless romantic back then. So, you know, to each their own. I mean, and that's part of the reason why I'm reviewing this movie, is because the reason why I kind of like this movie is I remember this movie. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, you know how you like Disney movies, even if you see them now and they're kind of like, yeah, that's kind of a crappy thing, but I still like it. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. You know, like, I'll give you an example. Independence Day. I love Independence Day. Great movie, but I watched it fairly recently, and it's incredibly corny. But I still like it, and a lot of things are unrealistic about it, but I don't want to get into that. But the point is that that's kind of the same thing going on, at least with me and Josie and the Pussycats. The writing's not bad. Like I said, they have a few cute lines they throw in and different references. But the comedy's not that funny, but at the same time, it's kind of what you'd expect from Josie and the Pussycats, if you know what I mean. One thing that's interesting is that they made the movie in the first place. Because unlike Scooby-Doo, Josie and the Pussycats does not have a following like that. It's got a few people that really like Josie and the Pussycats, but it's not anywhere near kind of like a Scooby-Doo level, if we're using American animation and stuff. It just isn't. So I think that's why we only see one movie instead of like fucking 8. I don't know how many Scooby-Doo movies they're up to. It was kind of interesting to see though, the way they use just behind the music in the story in the movie to push the storyline along. I think that's something that I think they did well. Is they used a bunch of they made it a little bit more interesting with how the characters acted. I will say that their super villain, like I don't want to say she was unbelievable as a villain, because, you know, it's Josie and the Pussycats. You should not believe these villains. You know, it's kind of a comical thing. It's, you know, but you know, she wasn't a bad actress, and I like how they brought in her. I don't know what you call it. She has trouble talking, I guess. And then they break out. What was his name? White Alley. I forget his name. But yeah, that was kind of a cool aspect of it. I think that's basically it. I like how his accent was fake in the movie. That made my day. It makes me sound cool. You know, it's like, because that's really what the movie comes down to, is it's these record producers trying to be cool. And, you know, and how you can't use that. I don't know. It's an interesting concept. Also, it was weird to see TRL, you know, Total Request Live. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was like a thing in the 90s on MTV where they call in music. It was interesting to see Carson Daly try to kill people or kill somebody. It's definitely a weird. It's an interesting movie that they made it, I guess, because I'm surprised that companies went along with it. But yeah, having said that, that's basically it. Would I recommend this movie? If you're a fan of Josie and the Pussycats and you haven't heard of this movie, I'm ashamed of you, and you should definitely go see it. But if you're not, if you like Scooby-Doo, the movie, the first movie they made with human beings in it, you know, like in the aughts, go see it because it's kind of similar if you liked it. But if you're not into remakes or you haven't seen these shows, I guess it might be borderline interesting, but it's not. It's not the same. You know what I mean? It's kind of like Starchy and Hutch or whatever it was called. That movie I did not mind. I thought that it was decent, but at the same time, I didn't get all the references because I never watched the show. So it's not going to be the same thing. But yeah, I think that you could enjoy it though if you're looking for kind of a kiddie romantic comedy. It's something to take somebody on a date to if you're in junior high is a way of thinking of it. Like if this is like your, you know, third date and you're not going to do anything except kiss on the cheek kind of thing, you know, you're really young and, you know, that's all you're going to do. I don't know why I'm using that as a reference, but, you know, it's kind of a junior high romantic comedy movie in a way. That's what I'm trying to say. I guess that's it. Subscribe, comment, rate. If this is your favorite movie, that's great. Anyway, that's it. I forgot to put ratings on the Naruto and Avatar thing. Oh, if I was going to rate this movie, I've been doing that a lot. I give it a 4 out of... I give it a 4 out of, you know, 5. Or no, I think I give it a 3.5. It's kind of middle of the road kind of movie. It's not great, but it does what its promises. So, you know, middle of the road. And that's it. Subscribe, comment, rate. Have a great day. Bye.